place where we understand trauma, story, belief. We understand how we create hundreds and thousands of these internal negative narratives or patterns of thinking, feeling, believing, and behaving. And there's a result of the trauma, story, belief, pattern, or schema that all of us build unconsciously. Trauma, story, belief impacts us in 3 specific arenas. Again, this is unconscious. It impacts us in what we believe about our value, our worth, and our lovability. As you recall, I talked about Susie making an unconscious story that there must be something wrong with her that turns into a belief, I'm not lovable, because of the interaction between mommy, Susie, and her little brother being so ill. But how is Susie actually impacted? There's more than just the trauma, story, belief, hundreds and thousands of these negative internal narratives. They land in our system around what we believe about our value. Am I a valuable human being? What is my worth? Where is it localized? Is it objective, meaning is it based on how much money I have, what I look like, how I dress, how I live, what I do, all objective pieces of the self? Or core identity? And what makes for core identity? And this will be the piece that we're going to discuss now. What is core identity? Where does your identity reside inside of yourself? Does it reside in what you look like? Does it reside in what you do? Does it reside in the various traumatic events that you had in your life? From my perspective, core identity, this actual foundation of self, is held in the body in the solar plexus. When I'm sitting across from somebody, I'm always reading the energy field to see if the solar plexus in them is stable, or if during our conversations in therapy, I notice a lot of fluctuation here. Mostly I notice a lot of fluctuation here because the people that come to do this work with me do not have a firm foundation of self. But what does that even mean? The self, the essential me of me. And if it's not based on what you look like, if it's not built around what you do, if it's not part of the objectified self, meaning breaking the person down into pieces. One thing that's so distressing in our culture is how women continue to be broken down into parts: breasts, butt, legs, mouth, etc. No one is made up of parts. We are integrated whole human beings. And what that means is we need to stay in what I refer to as the subjective self. What is it for me? All right, I'm Sophia, and I have a very strong sense of self. I have a very strong identity. I have a very solid foundation of self. I am not trauma attached, trauma defined, or trauma driven. The caveat here is anymore, because I've done my work, which I will share with you over time in these videos. But if we are none of our parts or what our doing is, then we have to land in our being, the very beingness of me, because that's where my value lies. That's where your value lies, in the very essence, the essential being of you. But what does that mean? What does it mean to say it's the being, not the doing of you that holds your value? It means what inspires you, what breaks your heart, where are you interested in, what do you want to do with this lifetime? Your core value lies in the goodness of you as a human self. It does have nothing to do, it does not lie in any way in what you're doing. The essential self, our value, our worth, our lovability, lies in the being of who and what we truly are. And I define that as all of the things that inspire me, that bring my life beauty, balance, harmony, integration, as above, so below, this integrated moment of understanding. This is the being. What inspires you? What breaks your heart? And one of the things that breaks my heart is that I look out into our culture and I see that there is an ongoing acquisition of things for people, hoping to enhance their value, hoping to enhance their own experience of themselves. So people continue to buy many things, acquire many things. It's all well and good. I don't have a problem with any of that. But my beloveds, I encourage you to stay alert. So if you're buying a $2,500 Louis Vuitton bag because you can and you want to, beautiful, congratulations, you've arrived at a place that can support these choices. Don't forget for 1 minute the suffering that is right next to that decision of yours. I am not saying to go without. I'm saying to remain awake. I'm saying that you get to celebrate your successes without the denial of suffering that's literally one breath away from your personal success. My success is happening for me, and as a result, other people are benefiting from it. I am not for 1 minute the least bit confused of global suffering that's happening right next door to the abundance that I've been able to create for myself. And I don't think anybody else should pretend to be asleep or pretend that that isn't happening. We have to wake up. Evolution to revolution. Feeling it to heal it. Understanding what's really going on here. And what's really going on here in part, and over time I will reveal all of it to you, but what's really going on here is that the suffering all around the world, the suffering of others, is so extreme and activates so many uncomfortable feelings, the dreaded uncomfortable, that we will stay in magical thinking, pretending that we can go out and buy whatever we want or buy a specific thing we've saved for it, or we've created enough financial abundance in our life that this is an easy choice. Well and good. But be alert, people. Be awake, my beloveds, to what is happening exactly one breath away. I don't believe you can have one without the awareness of the other, and holding the awareness of what is happening on the planet, that we are still dealing with a global sex trade, child sex trafficking, that we are still living inside of a global war against women and children, that there are people all over the planet that do not have clean drinking water, where women and children are not safe and have no autonomy over their bodies. My beloveds, it's time to wake up. It's time to understand. Our life is not singular. Our life is a life that is supposed to be lived in connectivity to the natural world. And the more time we spend in technology away from the natural world, the less mental health we have. I once had a teacher, his name was Angeles Arian, a beloved teacher of mine. And every day, 1 hour a day, this was an inviolable period of time for her. It was non-negotiable for her that she would be undisturbed in nature, somewhere in the natural world, every day. And I believe very strongly that our mental health is connected directly to our relationship to the natural world. And so often indigenous cultures want to collaborate with the natural world, and so often the industrialized world wants to dominate the natural world. There can be no domination of what nature has brought to us. There can only be the awareness of what is truly happening. My beloveds, buy the Louis Vuitton, buy the beautiful house, array yourself in finery, understanding that it brings you pleasure, not value. The more you have doesn't mean the more valuable you are. The more you do doesn't mean it increases your worth as a human being. And your lovability, well, it is simply so, that you are valuable, lovable, and worthy. And this is simply so. And this requires you to have faith and trust that this is simply so. There is no why. Why do I have value? It comes in with you like the color of your eyes. There's nothing that you need to do to either acquire or prove this. But you must understand that a series of traumatic events starts to impact how you understand your value, the deeper truth being you're valuable, lovable, and worthy, and this is simply so. There's very little that you can do to change that unless you're psychopathic or sociopathic. Since we're not talking about that today, my hope is that you'll finish watching this video understanding that your value, your worth, and your lovability come in with you like the color of your eyes. Your job is to understand this and heal anything and everything that's in the way of this deep fundamental knowing, because this is the foundation of self. Your goodness, your basic goodness as a human self. And if you are believing that you are not good, if you are believing that you are bad, if you hold shame, if you hold guilt, hang in there with me, my beloveds, because we will deconstruct it all so that you can land in this place of understanding and see yourself more clearly.